How much did you have saved up for a down payment?
That's a great question. And again, a lot of these questions and answers are going to be situational. Based on the loan type you have, how much down payment are you going to need to bring? How much do you want to bring, right? Just because FHA requires 3.5% down doesn't mean you have to put 3.5% down. If you want to put 10% down, you can go ahead and do that. Whatever you're comfortable with, right? So there's that. But the second thing to consider is not only the down payment and the closing costs, which closing costs we're going to talk to, I think, at some point. But usually they range between 2 to 3% of the loan. So if you have a $100,000 property, that's 2 to 3 grand. If you have a $200,000 property, that's 4 to 6. And you can do the math as you go up higher and higher. So there's that you have to consider that. But then additionally, you're going to want, even though banks don't require reserves on an owner-occupied property, you want to consider that as a long-term investor, right? Because just because today everything looks great and the numbers look great with your property 100% filled and no repairs, that doesn't mean that you're always going to be 100% occupied and you're never going to have repairs on the property, right? And so you want to be you want to start to accumulate reserves through every month. You want to put a little bit into reserves, right? If you make $1,000 free and clear or just $1,000 altogether, you're going to want to put a little bit of that into a separate bank account or however you want to hold that for reserves, right? When those situations arrive, you want to have that money on hand. Or when the economy turns and you just need some extra money to pay the mortgage that month, you want to have a reserve in place for situations like that, right? So how much should you have saved? It all depends. I mean, you and I, didn't have an enormous amount of savings when we bought our first property, and as we continue to buy properties, that's what allowed us to have more and more saved, right? So if you're young and you're a first-time home buyer, don't think you need to have thousands and thousands of $1,000 saved. Just know that once you buy the property, you should now consciously consider, having reserves from that monthly income, put some safeguards in place so that when bad things happen, and they will over your career, you have money to be ready for it.
That's a great point. And also, maybe you're not ready. Maybe you don't have the money saved up yet to buy that house, but that doesn't necessarily mean you shouldn't be calling lenders. You should figure out what you can qualify for, and that's going to give you an idea of, how much you can afford for a house and what that down payment is going to be, depending on what type of loan you go with.
Absolutely. And lenders, people mistake how you should approach lenders because they think of lenders as I'm not good enough for them. But let me tell you something. Lenders get paid when they service a loan for you, right? So they're actively seeking people to help provide loans for. So think of them more as partners, right? So when you start to call around to mortgage brokers, think of them as a partner. Like ask them questions like, how can I become, how can I get to the level that I need to for you? They want to help you, right? Maybe your credit score isn't where it should be for a lender. Well, ask them, hey, like how could I get to the level you need me to? What do I need to do? Pay down this credit card, maybe pay off my car loan, right? Maybe it's just something as simple as getting a better debt to income ratio based on other things, right? There's so many situations, personal situations that lenders look at. Call one, have them look over, and think of them as a partner and ask them, how can I? Not wait until you get to that point, because the likelihood of you getting to that point without direction is very low.
Absolutely. And something I just want to add to, if you struggle to save or if you're not saving enough, start tracking your finances, figure out where that money's going, and then you can start eliminating unnecessary expenses and add that to your savings for your down payment.
Yeah, absolutely. Without sacrifice, there's no reward, right? The old cliche. And there are a lot of great people out there that will help you actively save, right? Dave Ramsey is one of them, right? There's a financial fitness course that is a great way. There are a lot of people. Rachel Cruz is a great one in that
Hmm.
area. Paula Pant is a great. She's in the fire community, but she's also really good at helping people save and be proactive. There are a lot of great people out there that can help you get more conscious about your finance. But you're absolutely right. I mean, in the initial stages, those small things are really important. Spending money out to eat, far too often is a big killer if you're trying to buy a property. Once you get into a house hack, right, and you save 30% of your budget because you no longer have a housing expense, now going out to eat and getting a coffee isn't a total budget killer, right? It's
Hmm.
not going to kill your finances. Now you can actually live the life that you actually want a little bit more, right? And save at the same time, right? right? So it gets way easier the further you get down this path. But if you're struggling to save and you're in the early stages, you really, really, really need to be conscious of everything you spend to get that down payment money.
Yeah, and that's just a small sacrifice. I mean, it might take 1 year of those changes that you have to live with, and then you can kind of revert back to some of the stuff that you want to bring back in your life.
And you know, I'm a real estate agent, so we're going to speak to this a little bit later. But I help clients all the time, you know, creatively bring down payments in there, right? We're going to talk a little later about grants and down payment assistance, federal, you know, grants and federal down payment assistance as well as local, right? But there are seller concessions that can help you with down payments, right? There are a lot of ways that you can creatively, you know, bring down payment to help you get into properties, right? But it is going to take you getting your credit up to a certain level, talking to lenders, right? And so this is a loaded question. How much should I have saved, right? It's very personal, you know, to each individual situation, where you are in the country, what home values are, how credit worthy are you. But knowing that there are creative ways to do it is important. So finding real estate agent and lenders who are also investors who are going to help you, you know, get into an investor friendly situation is also important.
Yep. And then once you get all that in line and figure out what kind of loan you're going to go with, what you can get approved for, then you can just start doing the simple math, right? So it's going to be, okay, I want to buy a $200,000 property at 3.5% down. So just take 200,000 times 0.035 and you got your down payment right there.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there are, you know, I mean, FHA is something we talk about a lot because that is a very common situation. A lot of people get into FHAs, and 5% down conventional is also popular, but USDA loan, 0% down, right? You can
Mm-hmm.
do multifamily. VA loan, if you're a veteran or a current military, 0% down, right? There are a lot of situations where you can get into properties for 0% down and then no longer have payment, no longer have a mortgage, no longer have rent, right? So again, talk to lenders, see what you can do. Lenders want to help you. Let them help you, right? Partner with them.